After reading books and listening to podcasts and having my own experience, I came to conclusion that that energy that we call devil or negative energy or whatever it is, it actually sits within us. We have that inside of us. We have that shadow of us. And there is a certain entity, and I do believe that there is a certain energy, certain entities that are completely separated or exist separate from source, which we call light and we call God. They completely separate, and they cannot exist without feeding itself. They have to feed itself, and they feed itself with the low vibrational energies. And where do they get low vibrational energies? They do get it from us, souls, humans, in the form of negative emotions. So every time when we feel negative emotion, it's because we are separating ourselves from source. And each time when you separate yourself from source, you're feeling uncomfortable. And this is where that particular field of energy is feeding itself. For example, if I'm feeling uncomfortable, if I'm feeling unstable, if I'm feeling fearful, then if I'm feeling powerless, then I am definitely separating myself from source. And by doing so, I'm opening the door to that field of energy that matches, vibrationally matches that, which is not part of source. It's complete, it's a different part, and I'm feeding that. And that is the devil, basically. You're opening the door for that entity, devil, whatever you want to call it, and you letting that devil to feed, or you feeding that devil, and you opening the door and you letting this energy recharge itself because of you. So at the end, you are doing it, you doing it by expressing negative emotions. But again, negative emotions are not bad. You experience them in order for you to propel into positive. You feel uncomfortable, and then you want to transform that. You have a choice whether you want to transform this energy into something positive, or you stay and you completely get sucked in with this negative field and feed that part, feed that negativity. So you, at the end, you have a choice. And it's very important to monitor yourself and feel what exactly you're doing energetically and emotionally. And it doesn't matter how right and righteous you feel at that moment. If you're experiencing powerlessness, and it usually happens if you're fearful, or if you, let's say, jealous, or if you are angry, this is all feeling of powerlessness. You feeding that field. That's it. That's how simple that is. And acknowledging it and stopping it and not doing that, that is the big step. You, at the end, you create your own reality. You have a choice, and you live on a planet of choice. This universe is based and built on duality principles. And if you understand that, and knowing that you do have a choice, you in power, you'll take a choice. And if you decide to feed the negative energy, it's your choice. And be miserable and be unhappy, it's your choice. But if you are willing to grow and expand your consciousness You will acknowledge that you're doing this, but at the same time, you don't fall into that trap and stay there for a long time. You acknowledge and say, okay, I did it, I'm doing it, I'm growing it, and propel yourself into higher levels. And as you do this over and over and over again, you are developing this spiritual muscle where you become stronger and stronger and stronger. And of course, you always will experience negative emotions. It's just the way we're built. We have to have them. The question is how long these negative emotions are sitting in your being, in your field, in your auric field. Are you wallowing in them and sitting in them like in dirty diapers, or you're transforming them? And one of the ways to transform, again, I'm going to go back to the same thing, Kundalini Yoga, breath work, all these practices are the ones that help you to develop that stamina and awareness. And these are the tools that will help you to bring yourself back into balance and observe and say, okay, this is my choice. I'm doing this rather than doing that. And you are in control. One of my friends actually mentioned once that made me think about it. And he said, I always admired you, how you able to focus your energy and shift your energy and not to waste your energy at will. And I thought about it and I realized that it's actually a product of training, constant training of your mind, and focusing on things that you want and training the focus. It's constant observation of your thoughts and emotion. It's a product of constant observation of your thoughts and emotions, and constantly watching your energy, watching your emotional shifts, and constantly pivoting and focusing towards where you want, towards your target. I wasn't born this way. It's a product of training. And it doesn't take that long to train your subconscious mind to be that way. It takes only 6 to 8 weeks to train your subconscious. Your subconscious is just a program. And once you train it, then it becomes automatic and it's easier. So the very important point in this, you have to remember that energy is just like a snowball. Once it gains the momentum, it is so much harder to reverse it. Meaning, as soon as you started feeling negative emotion, you should be able to recognize it. And as soon as you recognize that, you should pivot back, you should stop. And you cannot just feel from negative to positive immediately. It's impossible. It's a huge gap. But what you could do, you could stop, you could pause, you could become neutral. And the best way to become neutral is to take a deep breath. Again, we're going back to the same basics. Breath. Take a deep breath and become neutral and become an observer. No thought, complete neutral. And then try to move the energy in the opposite direction. You won't be able to feel love from the point when you're feeling hate. You're not going to be able all of a sudden to turn it in love and start feeling love. You're going to fake it. You could fake it, but it's not practical and it's not possible. So first, from that anger or hate or some strong emotions that you're experiencing at that moment, if you would just stop, become neutral, become peaceful, and then from that peaceful state, then there is a possibility of you becoming loving towards the situation and the person, or just be neutral and walk away. That also helps. That also shifts the momentum. But if you finish the conversation with the person, you're still angry, and you are moving on with your day, and you're still thinking about that, and you're still angry, and you're still feeling that emotion. And then you talk about this, you tell other people about this. Guess what you're doing? You're feeding that energy, you're creating more and more and more, and it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it's so much harder to reverse it. So much harder. It's a snowball. So it's better to prevent that from happening from the beginning when it's in a small embryonic state. It's easier to control it. That is my trick. This is how I deal with the day. This is how I deal with negativity during the day as I face life like everybody else. I'm not different. I'm just like everyone else. I just train my brain not to pay attention to things that can bring me down and bring my vibration down. I do feel pissed. I do feel frustrated. I do feel fear. I do feel all of these emotions. I don't suppress them. But I don't let those emotions to stay in my body for more than 90 seconds. I do have that 90-second rule, and that helps me a lot. So that is it's a little tip. It may help you. Try to use it during the day. Again, observe your feelings, observe your emotions, and then try to become neutral first. You go in neutral, observer, then peaceful, then loving and forgiving and compassionate, and then move on. Try that. Let me know how it went. Good luck.